Sullivan is with us, talk presenter. And Kevin, your description as a talk presenter doesn't quite do you justice, actually, in this particular regard, because, I mean, you have covered celebrities, you've covered showbiz, you know this stuff inside out from your tabloid career, your journalistic career over a substantial amount of time. What do you make of the Gregg Wallace scandal so far? We're getting more revelations today, more allegations. He's gone out on Instagram. We've watched that video as well. Where does this stand in your mind?
Well, I was a TV critic for the Sunday Mirror for 12 years, during the heyday, if you like, of MasterChef, when it was coming to the fore. And as I've been saying all along since this recent scandal about Gregg Wallace erupted, this has come as no surprise to the television industry. There's been talk about Gregg's behaviour, his mode of talking to women in particular, for a long, long time. And I'm not either surprised to see, for example, Asma Mir, our colleague on Times Radio, coming back to say, well, look, when I was on MasterChef Celebrity, I told them about his behaviour. We've had a number of women now have said, look, I complained 10 years ago. And once again, the BBC have done nothing about it. As you say, Peter, let's stress that at this stage, Gregg Wallace says he's done nothing wrong. He denies any wrongdoing, but 13 women, and it looks like more are coming out of the woodwork now, have come forward to say that his behaviour and his language, to allege that his behaviour and his language around women was inappropriate. And as I say, I do not find these allegations surprising.
Just on the Asma Mir allegations, which are in the Sunday Times today, as Kevin says, she is our colleague, she works on Times Radio, it's made by the same company that makes Talk. Just to be absolutely clear about that, according to internal emails, Kate Phillips, who now oversees unscripted programmes for the BBC, a role that includes reality TV and other entertainment, she said 7 years ago she would ensure she was informed straight away if further allegations were made against Gregg Wallace. Her intervention came after the broadcaster Asma Mir, who appeared in the 12th series of Celebrity MasterChef, complained about inappropriate comments by Gregg Wallace during filming. In an email forwarded to this executive, Kate Phillips, Asma Mir wrote, "Should anything happen in the future, I don't want to feel guilty when people say, why wasn't anything said before, or for producers or editors to claim they didn't know. This must not happen again to another woman." Now, Wallace's lawyers have said that it is false that he engages in sexually harassing behaviour, but no matter what the truth is here, and we don't know whether it's exactly what Asma Mir and other people have said, we don't know if it's exactly what Gregg Wallace says, we don't know if it's somewhere in the middle. What we do know, Kevin, is this has been really badly managed, and it has been really badly managed by very senior people, very, very senior people in the production company that makes MasterChef, and people who are very senior within the BBC, whose job it is to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. This programme is made by an independent production company, so technically the BBC could sort of say, well, look, you know, this is down to the production company, not us. But that isn't going to fly. That's not going to wash. The BBC is responsible for this programme. It's a massive BBC programme. Don't forget, it's not just MasterChef. There's professional MasterChef. There's celebrity MasterChef. It is a franchise that is all over the BBC, so the state broadcaster is definitely responsible, and they know it. And this is just another example. You're talking about Kate Phillips, you're talking about Asma Mir. Other women have come out of the woodwork over the weekend to say 10 years ago they complained about this guy. So it is yet another example of a major male BBC star about whom there are a swirling mass of complaints. I'm talking about in the past, obviously, Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, Hugh Edwards, Russell Brand. There were complaints about all these people. The BBC, every single time, it doesn't only not react, Peter, it deliberately sweeps it under the carpet. I know of one young male employee who was working at the BBC and was being harassed by Hugh Edwards. Hugh Edwards was sending him pictures saying, meet me at a hotel. He was just a young lad who just arrived on the newsroom floor. He didn't know what to do. In the end, he felt so harassed, He went to HR, and the HR department at the BBC said, "You're talking about Hugh Edwards. He's a very important man here. Are you sure you want to go forward with this?" Now, that is exactly the attitude that the BBC has always had about people accused of these kind of offences. So Savile, Rolf Harris, Hugh Edwards, Russell Brand, every single time they swept it under the carpet, and now it looks as if they, allegedly they've done the same thing with Gregg Wallace.
And the thing is, Kevin, within that as well, even when these things do come to light, even when there are very, very serious allegations, you talked about Russell Brand there, for example, there's a senior BBC executive, he used to run BBC Northern Ireland, so I know a little bit about him, a man called Peter Johnson, and a year ago, more than a year ago, in fact, I think it was a year ago in August, he was given the task of writing a report, getting to the bottom of what Russell Brand was accused of. Well, here we are in December, more than a year later, and we still don't have the information. So it's not speedy, it's not managed correctly, it's not done well. I wonder if I could ask you... Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No, you carry on, Peter. Sorry.
I just wanted to ask you actually about Sean Wilson, because this is the big story. It's on the front page of The Sun on Sunday today, and this is the headline is "Corrie fired me over a sex lie." This is Coronation Street's Sean Wilson. He played Martin Platt, very, very well known well, perhaps not known well as Sean Wilson, but certainly very well known as Martin Platt. Gail Platt, who's been in played by Helen Worth, been in Coronation Street for decades. She's leaving. He was brought in to for her final scenes, suddenly left for, as we were told, personal reasons. It turned out the allegation against him was false. What do you make of this, Kevin? Because he was cancelled on an allegation, and we do need to be really, really careful when people make allegations and we perhaps jump to conclusions without hearing all sides of the story.
Yeah. Let me just say one last thing about Gregg Wallace.
Go ahead.
I'll come to Sean Wilson in a second. Because a lot of people, particularly blokes, friends of mine, have been on Facebook and Twitter going, "Come on, you can't tell a few, naughty jokes in the office. This is wokery gone crazy." Well, the stories I've heard over the years, allegations, anecdotal if you like, were the type of jokes that Gregg Wallace was allegedly telling. They upset young women. So they left women upset. So let's not, if these allegations are true, it isn't just office banter. It's a bit worse than that. That's what these allegations are. Important to stress.
Well, indeed, it is a lot worse than that, actually. He allegedly made a rape joke around Ulrika Johnson, who herself said that she was a victim of rape. He also is accused of, dancing around the set of MasterChef naked, wearing only a sock on a part of his anatomy. I mean, there's work. Kevin, I'm sure you won't mind me saying that there, outside of the studio, in the office, there's a bit of banter between you and me goes on. We say a few things to one another that are funny, perhaps pushing the envelope from time to time, but we know how to treat one another as colleagues, and we know where the line is, and we know how not to offend people. The stuff that Gregg Wallace is accused of is a heck of a lot more than that. These were not just a few off-colour jokes.
It left women allegedly very upset. So it's those who want to say, "Oh, it's just a bit of banter. This is wokery gone mad." You know me. That would usually be my line.
Yep.
Not this time. That said, let's move on to Sean Wilson. Well, I mean, I'm afraid this is the way of the world. We live in the world of the allegation. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. I think that there should be a sort of law or a diktat or a rule to say that companies can't fire people just on the basis, or suspend them just on the basis of an allegation, because or at least we ought to be thinking about this. I can see there are difficulties there, but what we've got here with poor Sean, and it's happened many times, somebody comes out of the woodwork to say, "Oh, 10 years ago this happened." The likes of Sean deny it, but they are suspended. And with poor old Sean, it was his big comeback,
Yes.
Very excited about it, but I'm afraid this is the way of the world, and we should be thinking about this. That all of us, are one completely, you know, you were talking earlier, Peter, saying, oh, or Sean Wilson said, in 8 minutes, my life was destroyed. And you said, well, we're only actually one tweet away from being destroyed. And we are. And that the trouble is that tweet or that statement about you doesn't have to be true.
Yeah, or it might even be something you're not even aware of. In the case of Sean Wilson, he wasn't given the full detail. It is fascinating actually to see just a couple of the quotes from this, where he says, "I told them I knew it had not happened. What got me through was knowing the truth." And he says, very similar to what we're talking about here, Kevin. He says, "No matter who you are," I mean, he's very, very well-known actor. "No matter who you are, you're one call from ruin."
Yeah, I'm afraid we are. And I think one of your other guests referred to Kevin Spacey. You know, I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of months ago, and I told him, I said to him, I just think what's happened to you is a travesty. It's totally, totally wrong. And he just went, hey, welcome to the modern world.
Yeah.
Now, there is a guy who's had his entire fantastic career, you know, probably at the time he fell from grace, the greatest career in Hollywood. It's gone. And he'll never get it back, and he's never been convicted of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, I can understand it, you know, from company's point of view, if an allegation of rape comes in against a bloke or something, and they've got that allegation, they don't quite know what to do. So I think that a set of rules or a law surrounding allegations should be brought into play, because companies are a bit confused. They don't know what to do. And you've got people like Sean Wilson go, but this is an absolute lie. And yet he loses his career. I've got some sympathy for, you know, the Coronation Street people, because what do? But we certainly are living right now in the age of the allegation, the age of the accusation. All I have to do to ruin your life is make an accusation about you. It doesn't have to be true. That is all wrong. We've got to do something about that.
And the question is whether you can legislate for the court of public opinion as well. Kevin, thanks very much. Really interesting to talk to you. Thanks for joining me.